All right, everyone, welcome back to another episode on YouTube. And today it's all about finding new relationships. Now, I know this is something that a lot of men struggle with. One, just because of the current environment of what it even means to operate as a man in the dating world, but also guys just really have a propensity to want to attach themselves to somebody, especially in a new relationship. It becomes all about that person. Now, while this can be a really good thing, because they feel like they're being put up on a pedestal. They feel like they're respected, and they feel like you're truly involved in them. The problem that this creates is that as the relationship goes on, that level of excitement for being honored that way can dissipate, in a sense that the men can become codependent, right? And especially if you're a guy who is looking at a woman like, wow, she's way above my league. She's absolutely gorgeous. I'll do anything to keep her. That mentality really, really hurts men in their relationships. And if the woman is above your league, it is going to be something that pushes her away from you if you act that way. So the reason why I believe this to be a strong conversational piece is because, first off, when I was younger, I was that guy. My first girlfriend, who I had, my first love of my life. I spent, three years of my life with her, and I didn't look at myself as valuing myself as this, high level man who deserved to be with her. I looked at her as gorgeous, sexy, and like she could have any dude she wants, and she's choosing to be with me, or settling, right? Settling to be with me. So like the first thing is this attachment issue is I had a problem with believing that if she found somebody better, or she would find somebody better, better looking, more in shape, whatever it is, like I was immediately going to lose her, right? So then what happened was the overcorrection to this was to basically um, bring her so high up on a pedestal that, number one, I lost myself, but then number two, there was codependency involved in this. And codependency is immediately going to push anybody away, man or female, right? Male or female. You're going to get pushed away by codependency. It's not attractive. So the first thing I want to address with finding new relationships is avoid the pitfall of going into codependency. This can become a detriment to the relationship, as I stated, and how we prevent falling into that idea of codependency is look at your actions, your text messages. I mean, text messages are great to review. Like, bro, am I coming on super strong? Am I always texting there? Are there 5 of my text messages for 1 of hers? Like, what is going on here in this conversation? Especially because text is a big thing nowadays. So doing that. Also, the initiation of, and this isn't, I'm not trying to play games, right? But what I want to do is keep guys focused on, one, themselves, right? And your life, because this person may or may not be around for the rest of it, right? Whatever. But to keep you focused on you, your life, and what you enjoy and what makes you happy aside from the relationship, because those are things you can control every day. So when we go into that, to avoid this is like looking at those text messages, looking at who's inviting the other person to go out all the time. Is it you? Is it her? Because it's also, we want to avoid the pitfall of getting in a relationship where somebody is codependent on us, because that can turn very, very toxic, which I have experience with that as well. And that was with my ex-wife. That became very toxic, that codependency where somebody's blowing up your phone when you go out and they're not with you, all this stuff, and essentially treating you as a cheater, can be the result of that over codependency on the other side. But we're talking about how to avoid codependency on our side. So let's continue to dig into this. And that is making sure that you check like what's going on in the relationship. Check in with yourself. Check in with your text messages, with your invitations, with your attachment, right? Your attachment to this person. Is everything being involved with them? Are you even checking your language when you're out with friends? Are you saying I need to check in with this person, or I want to see what this person is doing first before I make a commitment to you guys? Whatever it is, like checking that level of languaging, even when you're out with buddies, can pay dividends in the future, because you can check in with yourself and be like, wow, I've spent like every weekend with her. I've cut the buddies out. And then now I might need to reintegrate the buddies because this is getting too much going in one direction. And this is what we find happens a lot in relationships. And again, I did this as well, guys. I'm not trying to say I never did. I would prioritize a new relationship over the things that were constant and fulfilling in my life. And in that case, it happens to most people. It does. We all joke about it. Oh yeah. Oh, he's dating somebody new. Yeah, he's not going to come out, right? It happens a lot. It's okay. But when we question it and we take a look objectively, overviewing that new relationship, it's like, cool, how can I reintegrate the things that made me me before this person so I can balance the relationship with my independence? Okay. Again, this will pay almost more dividends than anything else in the book. Because the fact, if you guys do end up in a long-term relationship or in a forever relationship, you keep the independence. And we're going to go into that towards the end of this, because that is where the power really is in relationships. So avoid the codependency traps, over text messaging, over connecting in the sense of like always making the effort to go out with her, instead of, her showing some effort towards you, making sure that you have an objective view of where you're spending your time. Are you still including the things that make you, prior to this person coming into the relationship? Those are great ways to avoid that pitfall of codependency. So the second thing is, when you do start dating this person, start with open conversations. Get rid of the fluff and the bullshit, okay? Like, there's no need to be an ambassador of what you believe she wants to see, because at the end of the day, you're going to default to who you really are, and you're either going to set your relationship up for a failure, or you're going to set yourself up for misery in the future, which then could cause a harder time having separation from that relationship, whether it's you guys are already moved in with each other, whether you've said the L word, whether you've met their family. All of those things play roles in our relationships, and also our mindsets on when we want to break something off, how that can come about. So set open conversations early and often. This is 100% one of the biggest things I can say. And this also goes for when you're in a relationship. Set those conversations up early. Be honest. Going into a date and just being like, hey, would love to know, like, where are the major pitfalls you've seen you in your previous relationships? Same thing for you. Hey, these are the major pitfalls I've seen that I have a hard time with. Hey, like, if they're like, oh yeah, I love fucking jazz music, and you're like, that sucks balls, I don't like jazz music, I like country, right? Say that fucking shit. Don't act like you're something you're not, because it will come up later. I promise you. I promise you. I promise you it will. And it will cause friction in some area of your relationship. So make sure that you're just open about stuff, open about who you are, open about what it is you've been through, open about where you want to go in life. If you're like, yeah, I want to work and live overseas because this job that I have has that potentiality to it, let them know that. Like, these are conversations that should be had, so there's no surprises if the relationship continues. But when you're starting a new relationship and finding a new relationship, set those conversations up early and often so that you guys can actually have clear communication with one another and know exactly what you're getting into. Now, if this person, if she wants to be her ambassador, which is what I call, dating, typically for the first year, you're not dating each other, you're dating each other's ambassadors. But I want us to avoid this, because I want to see men get in better relationships that actually support them in where they want to go in life, and don't take away from their independence and who they want to be as a man. because this is where a lot of relationships are today, is men are stripped away from what made them the strong, confident man they were before the relationship. And it's not to say the woman was the problem. The man is the problem. He's not the victim. He is actually the assailant in this because he allowed it to happen. So this is where open conversations help us as the men and help the women also, as whether it's a relationship they want to be part of. Because if they're not willing to accept the true version of you, then it's not going to be a great relationship anyway. So you may as well cut it off early before people get too vested in the relationship. So this is a really, really strong one that I am very, very hard on. Like, one of the things why women can be very attracted to married men, I'll tell you this right now, because I have a lot of women friends. I talk with them all the time. It is because of the fact married men don't give a fuck. I don't need to be an ambassador to this woman. I get to be very honest because I'm married. I already have my wife who knows exactly who I am. So when I get in conversations with women, I get in conversations about shit they would never or have never talked about with men they're dating, especially early on, because of the fact that I don't give a shit. And so I'm just trying to tell you, if you have that mindset of not caring that you need to present an ambassador to them, you're going to have more honest conversations and you're going to be open with that communication, and they're going to feel open as well to have honesty and also to explore things that you like and don't like, which is pivotal in your guys' potentiality of a long-term relationship. Now, this takes us to the next thing, honesty. Just be fucking honest. It literally bleeds right into one another. Open communication early and often is honesty as well. Being honest about the whatever, like, fuck yeah, I had failed relationships. Fuck yeah, like, I'm kinky in bed. I would like to do some things that typically aren't normal. Like, fuck, I like to go out with the boys, maybe a couple times a month and do a trip, and like, that's my thing. Like, whatever it is, be fucking honest. Oh, if you're a gamer, I'm a fucking gamer. Be honest about these things so you guys can, again, connect deeper and connect early, or decide it's not the relationship. The problem that men are having today is that because of the fact that they're being this ambassador, just like the women are, we're seeing toxic relationships that don't benefit either party and wasted time. And it's like, bro, we only have a limited amount of time on this planet. We may as well use it wisely and use it in a way that serves us and serves where we want to go and serves the type of relationships we want to have. So the last thing I have, and I told you we would get to this, is stay an individual. If you guys have listened to me in the past, you know that my wife and I have a very distinct policy where we are individuals first, and we choose to come together as a couple every single day. All right, that individuality is what attracted that person to you in the first place. This is why relationships fail a lot. And I'm going to bring this right back around to codependency, to where we started, is because when you get codependent, the individuality, the thing that attracted you to one another, the fact that the enticing piece that you didn't need one another right off the bat, right? That whole piece goes away, and then the other person feels smothered. The relationship feels smothering. And in all of that, men struggle to keep their individuality, which then loses their confidence, which then goes into other toxic behaviors, whether it's vices or whether it's gaining a lot of weight, whatever it is, right? All of these things happen. You lose your individuality, you start to lose the relationship you cultivated and desired and were passionate about to start with. The passion doesn't leave just because the fact that you guys enter a long-term relationship or get married. The passion leaves because you forgot to learn how to be an individual. And that, my friends, is what can be detrimental not only to relationships, but also to your own confidence in who you are as a man. So make sure you guys, if you're trying to get into relationships, start off with these principles and start off strong. Like, this is where we can thrive and where we can cultivate relationships that are very strong and right off the bat have the potential to be something that can go deeper and longer than what we anticipated, right? So give yourselves that opportunity to hold yourselves, to prioritize yourselves, and to give the relationship the due, process, I guess, in a lack of a better term, the due process it deserves, the potential to be something that could be great in your life. So just remember these 4 key things. Don't be codependent. Set up open conversations early and often. Have honesty in those conversations and stay an individual. All right, guys, hope you enjoyed this episode, and I'll see y'all next time.